Hey guys, this is Chris from Deus Ex Machina, and some people don't realize that I'm a big movie buff. I worked at a video store for 6 years. I actually have an IMDb credit. Actually, I have several for being a script supervisor, a producer, and a writer. So I'm going to go on a rapid fire succession through the movies that I saw in 2025 and give you my thoughts and feelings. This film right here, Mickey 17. This is not my favorite Bong Joon-ho film. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Mark Ruffalo is doing the opposite of phoning it in. He is definitely giving it all. He made some choices, and those are very distracting in a film that is semi trying to be serious, and he thinks he's in a complete satire. And the film is a satire, but it just feels like it's a very good movie. Not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. Unlike Train Dreams, which is probably one of the best films of the year, it is absolutely beautiful. It is very measured. It has a wonderful pace to it, and I really quite enjoy it. But it may not be for you. I totally understand it. It's not. When people complain about the Netflix effect or Netflix quality movies, you watch Train Dreams. It's absolutely a wonderful movie. Unlike this, which was probably the most disappointing film of the year. 3 hours long. I saw it the same day as I saw Thunderbolts, and I almost walked out. I've never walked out on a movie, but I was tempted. The only thing that kept me staying was aware of the fact that it was going to end with this insane action sequence with these two biplanes. For a film that, as long as it is, it's the longest Mission Impossible, and it has the least amount of action, I am actually shocked and disappointed that it has the same writer-director of the previous three movies. Fallout is one of the best action movies of all time. Even Dead Reckoning, which has flaws, is actually a very, very good movie. It's got some good action and so forth. There's always been a good car chase. Final Reckoning is probably the first one in 5 movies that does not have a car chase. It only has 2 real good action sequences, the sequence on the submarine and the scene at the end. So you're wasting a good 90 minutes before this film gets anywhere. It's so many callbacks, so many flashbacks, so much expository dialogue that I was getting annoyed at how banal and pedestrian the writing is. Christopher Corey started his career as a screenwriter. He actually has an Oscar nomination for writing. The entire submarine plotline is just an amalgam of plot points from Hunt for October and The Abyss. It's so obvious. It's shocking how unoriginal it is. My wife was watching it and she literally thought that, like, have I seen this scene before? Like, no, it's The Abyss. And she's like, oh, right, I saw this. And if you saw The Hunt for October, you would see the other half. Almost as much as it's actually, it just beats out this movie, House of Dynamite. I actually am a big fan of Catherine Bigelow, all the way from Point Break and Strange Days. She's a wonderful, wonderful director. This film is a rare miss, but it is a significant miss. People would say, oh, you just don't get it. No, I understand it. As a screenwriter, I get what they were trying to do. Usually when you do a Rashomon-style film, story from 3 different perspectives, and you go back in time, usually there is some additional insight you learn, something you didn't know before. This was simply as a way of making this real time, being able to show other people's conversations at the same time. So when you watch the first act, you've seen everything that this film has to offer. It doesn't reveal anything new in the second and third variations that occur in the second and third acts of this film. And so when the film ends, and I remember the film cuts to black, my wife, who was not watching the film but was kind of just listening in the background, just simply says, "Is that it?" I go, "Yeah." And she's like, "Does it just end that way?" I go, "Yeah, it just ends that way." But there is a narrative flaw in the presentation. You could have ended it that way and I would have been fine with it. It was the structure of the film I had an issue with. And I'm jumping from one extreme to another. This is another streaming movie. This is actually, I had to remind myself when I was going through my list. I was like, oh yeah, I watched this film. It is forgettable, but it's also entertaining. When I watched it and I saw the trailer again, I was just like, oh yeah, this movie. I like this movie. It's dumb. Really like John Cena. I like his decisions he makes. I just saw him in Pluribus, which is a fantastic TV show. Goofy. It doesn't take itself seriously, and I'm okay with it. It's forgettable, but it's entertaining. Compared to this, which is forgettable boring. The first one, it wasn't bad. The action scenes were pretty good. This one has a really good intro, and I could not really tell you what happens in the last hour of this movie. I don't mind lore and world building. It's just this film decided to focus on exposition. The action in the last half of this film is just kind of a little boring. I'm hoping maybe they do better with the third one, but they didn't, like, even the first one, it wasn't that great a movie, but the second one was just worse. From a string of disappointing films, people are probably thinking, oh my God, this guy doesn't like anything. Oh God, boy, did I love this film. It's weird, and in this world, I can talk about the fact that people who know some videos I posted on the channel regarding my relationship with the franchise, both Predator and Alien, I have stated the fact that I was always a bigger fan of Alien than I was on Predator. I am a weird one in the fact that, in my opinion, there wasn't really a great Predator film. I had issues with the lore building. I didn't find it realistic that they would focus so much attention in the hunt and the honor kill as if that's the only thing that defines them. I always felt it would be more realistic that the hunter in the first Predator film was just a roid monkey asshole and not indicative of the species, but decided that no, the entire species has to be like that. So I've never really found it to be a realistic depiction of an alien species, because an alien species that is so based off of this won't be in the position to develop the technology required to do what they do. And this is kind of an issue I had with the Klingons in Star Trek. And they've actually gone into the lore and tried to explain how Klingons managed to maintain this kind of warlike culture and develop this level of technology. Now, in this day with Prey, and now this film and another film I'll talk about, that the Predator franchise is now doing better than the Alien franchise. Romulus was steeped too much in its nostalgia. I enjoyed it, but it was steeped too much in nostalgia. And now there's a lot of news going around that they don't know what they want to do with the Alien franchise. They have 3 stalled projects, including the sequel to Romulus, which seemed to be a given, and now apparently it could potentially be canceled. They don't know what they want to do with the Alien franchise. I say make all the films. Just do it. Just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And I think that's what they're doing with this, with Predator Badlands. It is a fantastic film. It is actually probably a better film in the Alien franchise than we've had in the last few movies. I think it's awesome that it's set after Alien Resurrection. That's what the director has said, so it does tie in. The storyline is really good. I like the fact that it is remarkably violent, even though it's PG-13, because all the characters are basically robots or aliens. There's no humans in this film. I like the fact that the entirety of the cast is like 4 people playing multiple roles. Actually, maybe not 4. I think it's only 3 people doing multiple roles. One of the most enjoyable films of the year. Beautiful, great visual sequence. I can't wait to get it on my big screen TV with Atmos. It's weird to say that this film is the worst John Wick film, and it's really good. It shows you how good the John Wick films, all the John Wick films are fantastic, and they just keep on getting better. Some people find 4 to be just overdrawn. Like, my wife likes the franchise, but finds 4th one is her least favorite. It's my favorite. Ballerina follows it up. It's got some great action. The sequence with the flamethrowers, basically the entire last half hour. However, I did have issues with the first act. They made someone I felt was weaker than she should have been. I felt that she needed to be a stronger character. I wanted her to kick ass more. I found the film entertaining, but I wish that she was a stronger action star. And we go from that to one of the best films of the year. This is probably, if I was to list my top 5 films of the year, Warfare would definitely be on it. A couple things you should know going into it. It is based off of a real event. I do believe it is set in real time. So 90 minutes in the film passes and 9 minutes in real time pass. So it is tense. You know something crazy is going to happen. The proverbial on the edge of your seat. It is a fantastic movie. I know Alex Garland co-directed it with Ray Mendoza, who was a military advisor, who was the character in the film. Don't know how much of it is Alex, how much is Ray, but this is one of the best war films ever made. Probably the best modern war film since Black Hawk Down. Of course, talking about previously with Predator, Killer of Killers, this is the animated film that came out a few months prior. One of the best films in the franchise. Like, my favorite Predator films have all come out in the last few years. Prey, Predator, Killer of Killers, and Predator Badlands are my 3 favorite Predator films. And they are all, on average, better than the last 2 or 3 Alien movies, which is a franchise that I've always historically liked more. This is how you should do this franchise. Take big swings, take some risks, explore the lore, explore what they're doing. I don't know if Dan Trachtenberg is going to get bored of working on this franchise, but if they let him continually do what he wants to do, this is a very strong, there's a very strong future ahead of this franchise. I know people are going to say this is the best film of the year. For a lot of people, it is. It's on the top list, and this comes to the root of why I don't do professional movie reviews. I have the background. I've seen enough of the films. I have a long history with films. Like I said, I worked at a video store, so I've seen thousands and thousands of films that you probably will never see. Critical darlings that scratches every itch. And I found it disappointing in the fact that it is billed as something that it is not. Every critic, every TikToker, influencer, and I've started to lose respect for a lot of influencers. They want a quick 10-second recap, and they keep on billing this movie as an action movie. One battle after another, and it's one action scene after another. It's just a constant fight, constant suspense. It is not. It is not. It is not an action film. There are some action beats. It is not as quirky as you think it is. It is not as funny as you think it is. It is not as action-packed as you think it is. It's a little bit of everything thrown in. Yes, I will say it is one of Paul Thomas Anderson's best films. Sean Penn, he brings a performance that I've never seen him do. It is an insanely powerful and unhinged performance, indicative of kind of everyone's overacting. Everyone is kind of an unrealistic portrayal of somebody. I will say that the ending does redeem this film a little bit, especially as these different story arcs start to come together. The first act is strong. The last act is strong. I found the middle hour a little wanting. So it's definitely a good movie. Is it the best film of the year? No, which I know goes against the trend that this is going to be the number one film. It's going to be this and Marty Supreme. And if you're asking why I haven't seen Marty Supreme, I refuse to watch Marty Supreme because I don't watch generally films about assholes being assholes to other assholes. And it has Kevin O'Leary, who's a complete bag of dicks, and I will not watch a film that casts Kevin O'Leary in a major role. And if you are questioning why, I'm Canadian, and that's all I need to say about that. Might be my favorite movie of the year. I don't know. It's going to be, once again, in the top 5. Wake Up Dead Man. Obviously, someone who used to be religious. I really felt that Josh O'Connor anchors this film. This film can collapse or rise on his performance, and I think he brings a great a presence to it. It is almost his movie because, as anything, Daniel Craig's character Benoit Blanc doesn't show up for the first half an hour. It is almost entirely about Josh O'Connor's character. What is it? The best one? I'd say it is the best mystery. It's not as funny as Glass Onion, and I think I enjoy Glass Onion more. I appreciate the mystery of this one more, so it'd probably be my second favorite. I have a lot of opinions on this film. F1, obviously I'm a big fan of F1. Joseph Kosinski is probably one of the best technical directors working. Him, James Cameron, Christopher Nolan, Gareth Edwards are probably the best technical directors. He has an incredible visual eye. His films all look amazing. This is a perfect example of a bad story made fantastically. Like, this is a fantastic looking movie. The cinematography is fantastic, but I don't know why they keep on giving Aaron Kruger script writing jobs. He is not a very good writer. He's a script doctor. Whenever I see his name, I'm like, this is going to be dog shit. The fact that they basically took 2001, I think it's 2001's Sylvester Stallone written and starred movie Driven and said, hey, we can do that better, and then you don't. Because I'm not lying, this film is basically a remake of Driven with F1 with a lot better visual effects. They see it's a classic sports film. I go, I don't think it's classic. I think it's hackneyed and unoriginal. I think they're playing off the same 3 or 4 beats. Brundle, I think is his name, who is the announcer for Sky, who is narrating all of the racing sequences. He has more lines in this film than any other actor, because this film is constantly talking. It never lets the racing sequences run on their own. It's constant narration, constant exposition. They're constantly explaining what's happening on the track. Racing sequences are fantastic, but the decisions characters make are unrealistic and would technically not be allowed in F1. If you were a big fan of F1, it would probably make you angry. From a technical achievement, this was a great film to see in the theater. This is one of the better film experiences. Yes, it's fantastic. Yes, it's well made. probably one of the better horror films out there. And I knew going into it for the first hour, this is not going to pay off in a satisfactory way. And it doesn't. Yes, the ending is bonkers, but in my opinion, it doesn't really pay off what the first act was leading up to. The other best film of the year, also in the top 5. I wonder if I'm actually going to get 5 films and go, okay, these are the top 5. And I wouldn't be able to tell you which one. Sinners is obviously probably going to be behind the list. It might actually be one. But this is another film that is a victim of incorrect and disingenuous promises. Once again, a lot of the TikTokers and quick blip-vert thoughts were talking about what this film really is, and all of them were being disingenuous. There were people saying this film is actually a musical. It is not a musical. There is a musical sequence in the middle of the film, which is probably the best scene in the movie, but that doesn't make it a musical. Oh yeah, the vampires that show up, they show up like halfway in the film and there's no warning until they show up, kind of like from Dusk Till Dawn. That's also bullshit. The vampires are alluded to within the first 10 minutes. You know that this is a plot point that's gonna happen, but there's this one point where they say this is the first time you know something's a bit off. I'm like, no, it's not. Did you miss the 2 previous scenes in the movie? Michael B. Jordan should get nominated for an Oscar. He probably won't. Ryan Coogler should be nominated for 2 Oscars. He probably won't. And the fact that Marty Supreme is getting billed as this big hit, even though we will barely break even, and this film's probably going to get shafted in awards, shows you how unbelievably racist Hollywood still is. This film is absolutely amazing. I don't know if there's a worse film that came out this year. There was probably an idea. They could have just, at the beginning of their formula, said, we're just going to do a remake of Snow White. And they could have probably made a film that was entertaining. I probably still wouldn't have liked it because I've never been a fan of Snow White. But then they reshot it. They changed their minds and turned it into this freaking disaster. CGI dwarfs, Gal Gadot not knowing how to act, not knowing how to sing. Rachel Zegler, God bless her, she's the only thing in this film that's redeemable. Everything else around her, I'm really hoping that her career rebounds after this, and I'm really hoping that Gal Gadot's career does not. I vibe with this movie. This film what fell under the radar. I think it's really good. You should be able to find it on some streaming services. It is low budget. The visual effects on this creature are insane, so much that people were insisting that they had to have used AI, and they didn't. And a lot of it is practical, which is even crazier. The storyline is not 100% original, but I love the vibe of this film. I love what they were doing with the visuals. The fact that it's somewhat modern, but then Willem Dafoe's walking around in this weird fantasy armor. It is actually quite entertaining. This film was probably tying with Mission Impossible for most disappointing if I actually felt it was good going in. If I thought that these writers and these directors could have made a good film out of this subject matter, I might have gone into it. I went into it knowing this film was going to be dog shit, and I was not disappointed. It is dog shit. What bothers me the most is the fact that they just grabbed the absolute wrong people to make this film. It was the wrong cast, the wrong writers, the wrong directors. These guys made some of the best Avengers films, and that's where they should sit. They should not try to adapt a post-apocalyptic cosmic horror with existential dread and then turn it into a family comedy. They took one of the greatest visual novels of the last 20 years and turned it into this. Pratt has no business being in this film. Millie Bobby Brown probably could have done something if they were faithful to the source material. They were not. They took some of the visuals, they took the basic framework of the story, and then threw everything else out. So yeah, probably in the top 5 worst films of the year. I've almost already forgotten about this movie. This is Pixar playing it really safe. It's inoffensive. It has no allegory. It has no message. It is not sad. It doesn't tug your heartstrings. It's just very safe. This is a streaming film. This is a mid-budget streaming film. The fact that it's a $200 million Pixar film for a theatrical release, I don't know what they were thinking. This is an insane horror movie talking about allegories about codependency. This is a really good film for this. Beyond the fact that I have a real issue with people calling it AI propaganda, which is one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard anyone say. We should go from Alien to Aliens. Let's take this film where the previous one was this weird comedic horror movie and make it a comedic action movie. This film rips off 3 other AI films. There are 2 action sequences which are ripped off of the film Upgrade. The way even the camera works, it doesn't work. It is very weird and goofy. You're going to be goofy and swing for the fences. Swing for the fences with originality. Not a bad movie, but definitely not a good film. It shows how broken it is narratively. Whenever I hear about the plot points that they were dancing around, there was probably a greater and much better film here. Anthony Mackie's Captain America should get the super serum and become a superhero like the original Captain America. And the fact that by the end of this film, now after multiple films, multiple TV shows, and now this film, as Captain America, the fact that he's still just a regular guy in a slightly cool suit bothers me. They have some justification why Anthony Mackie doesn't take the super serum. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. He should take the super serum and become fully Captain America. I think he'll always be in the shadow, the original Captain America, until he gets the super serum and becomes the person that he should be. I don't agree with the decision of making him weak. Compared to this, which was probably the best Marvel film that's come out in the last 5 years. Right up there, probably the best one since Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a fantastic film. This is the only Marvel film I've actually cried at. And watching Avengers Endgame now does bring a tear to my eye, but this film actually got me crying the first time I saw it. The last sequence, the climactic sequence of this film still puts a lump in my throat. If you're thinking, I don't want to give Marvel another chance, I'd say there are tons of films you can skip, but don't skip Thunderbolts. It's a great movie. If you like Bullet Train, this film is basically in the same boat. It's just a lower budgeted version of Bullet Train. He's stuck on a plane with a bunch of killers, and he's trying to protect someone. The action scenes are fantastic. It is more violent than Bullet Train. It is a very violent movie. There's a lot of gruesome killings in this. I'm disappointed by the film final act. It kind of just ends. Obvious unresolved threads to hang a sequel that will never happen. I think Josh Hartnett is giving us all. I think he's fantastic. I am so on board for the renaissance of this actor coming back in the world, and I can't wait to see what else he does. But this is a great film. This is a fun. It's weird to say that I like Tron Ares, and I had a video where I've liked Tron Ares. As time has passed, I know that it is not as strong a film as Tron Legacy, but it's still as good, I think. But I get why people might have issues with it. I think the DNA of a greater film is in here. I think if they had made it more about Jared Leto's character, and that we're going to ignore Jared Leto's himself, his own toxic presence in this film. We'll ignore that for now. His character of Ares, if the film was more about him, and then they diminished Greta Lee's character, because it's her in his film. They both have their running plot points, and I think they spend too much time with her and not enough time with him. Greta Lee is the head of NCOM, and I feel like they probably rewrote this film to make a corporate CEO a positive protagonist. And I think that dishonors the franchise, which has never basically had that as a plot point. I think it would have been better to have Greta Lee as some kind of lone programmer, some underdog within NCOM, and helps Jared Leto escape into the real world. And then there's no corporate war between Dillinger Systems and NCOM. I think that was the plot point that didn't resonate with me. Corporate subplot, which probably could have been completely cut. And then if you focus entirely on Ares and his escape from the system and Greta Lee helping him, I think that would have been a better movie. So as a result, the corporate intrigue is probably what's going to turn people off. But the film is visually quite good. I mean, the soundtrack is amazing. Right up there with The Heads of State. This is a film I saw. It bombed. But, if you see it on streaming, I'll watch this 100 times before I watch Stranger Things. But it's not a bad film. Not a bad movie. I think that if it's on streaming, give it a watch. You might actually enjoy it. On the adverts from Megan, this is how you should do an AI story. Really quite clever. I initially had issues with the opening act until it revealed its cards, and it turned out to be a much better film than I thought. People talking about how much they hate this film. I liked it only because I think Gareth Edwards is a fantastic director. I think he has a great visual eye. I said right up there with Joseph Kosinski and James Cameron and Christopher Nolan. And I hope he gets another good film. This is probably the second or third best Jurassic Park / World movie. High praise. It's really not. This has always been a relatively boring franchise. The last 3 films, like Dominion was almost unwatchable. Fallen Kingdom was just dog shit. Jurassic World, even the first, I wasn't even a huge fan of. I thought like it didn't really do anything for me. I actually think Jurassic Park 3 is better than the 3 Jurassic World movies. The suspense is really good. The visual effects are fantastic. There are some scenes in this film which are just beautiful. Yes, the story is really simplistic, just a mechanism to have these sequences, and I think those sequences are really good. The scene when they had to go into the pterodactyl nest, I know they're not pterodactyls, they're probably close, and basically try to get this sample from this egg is a fantastic sequence. This is probably the worst film of the year. I saw this once. I almost turned it off. I'm really worried about the Star Trek franchise. I actually can't wait to see Starfleet Academy. I actually hope it's really good, but I'm worried. I am very worried. The last season of Strange New Worlds was concerning, and they've canceled the other good shows. They canceled Prodigy, which was really good. Lower Decks is gone, and that's really, really good. If the people who are running Star Trek think this is what we want, we're screwed. But this, which I'm totally on board. The best Fantastic Four film, which doesn't say much because every other one has just been bad. I love the retrofuturism. People will call them atomic punk. Some people will call it like retrofuturism. That's what I prefer to call it. I liked how they approached it. There is no creation arc. We start already with them already the leaders of the superheroes in their alternative timeline. 100% on board. This film could have and should have made a lot more money. And we're going to conclude this video with Avatar Fire and Ash. And I made a joke that this is the 3rd best Avatar movie. It is not a bad movie. It is the weakest of the 3. I was really hoping that they would focus primarily on new lore. One thing I like about Way of Water is that it does greatly expand the lore. It's more original than Avatar. It's not just Fern Gully anymore. Trying to do something interesting. I actually really like Way of Water. I think Way of Water is probably the best Avatar movie. And so for them to do Fire and Ash, I'm like, okay. By the way, this shot right here, totally ripping off The Abyss, which is fine because James Cameron made The Abyss. But I remember watching that scene. I'm like, oh, that's James Cameron playing homage to his own work. But I thought this film was going to be, we're expanding in this fire, ash, volcanoes, it's going to be more air-based and so forth. And some of these sequences right here, for example, are fantastic. And they're in the first hour of the movie. But then the next 2 hours, it doesn't have anything new to say. It doesn't introduce any new characters. It doesn't introduce any new plot points. It doesn't introduce anything really interesting. They don't do anything interesting with the villain. And then the last act of the film, it's just a rehash of the final act of the first 2 movies. It doesn't do anything new. It's a great 3D film. It's a great theater experience. So when I say it's the 3rd best Avatar film, I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's the weakest of the 3, but it's by no means not a bad movie. So with that, that's it. Those are, at least by my majority. I wouldn't say it's all. I'm sure there are movies that I am forgetting to bring up, but those are the films I saw. If I was going to say what is the worst film, I guess the worst film of the year would have to be the Star Trek Section 31. I think it was probably the worst film of the year. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning was the most disappointing film of the year because I expected it to be great. I guess in the end, I think Sinners has to be the best film of the year. Some people will find that it better than I think it is. I think it's great. Some people think it's a masterpiece. I think they're probably right. I think this film is fantastic. I think it has a lot of stuff to say. Quick recap for TV shows. Obviously, Andor Season 2 came out this year. Probably the best TV Star Wars has ever been. Pluribus just finished. Pluribus is fantastic. I don't watch a lot of new TV shows, so I can't really do a video on that. So I would say watch Pluribus. Andor is amazing, but we all know Andor is amazing. No, I will not see Stranger Things. I stopped liking that show past season 2. So I've got no interest in watching that show. But anyway, this has been Chris from Deus Ex Machina. Thank you for following me. Like and subscribe and all that. What were your favorite and worst films of 2025? Post them in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. Anyway, thanks you and talk to you later.